So once you've sorted out the logistics, you're going to have a new ship that has expanded, that has everything you want, that has an efficient system through it, and at that point you're going to have to crew it up. So one of the ways that the game hints you this direction is with refugees. So if you're not aware of what refugees are yet, you can go down to your edit tab, and there you can find a series of tooltips, and basically it allows you to determine a specific area on your ship that is reserved for refugees. So you want this thing to have kitchen, beds, toilets, oxygen, and heating, of course. Now, when it comes to refugees, what do they do while they're on your ship? They aren't actually complete freeloaders, as they can perform one task and only one task on the available tasks to your crew, and that task is logistics. So, and when you first get your first refugees, you probably are going to have an undercrewed spaceship. So when you bring them on the first times, and you can get quite a few, you'll notice immediately that your ship is more efficient, is more performing. Every task gets delivered more efficiently. So for example, when you have a lot of refugees, they'll go and pick up everything from your airlock immediately and go and store it somewhere, which frees up a lot of time for your crew to do other things. So you'll notice that your ship is more efficient. Very well. So okay, why bother crewing up with a normal crew when your refugees can simply get your logistics out of the way? They're quite convenient. Well, on the long run, it turns that it's not a viable strategy. They're freeloaders mostly. As in, if you have too much of a high population, of which most are refugees, and a small skeleton crew, then the main tasks will be performed on a slower rate. So you're going to have more mouths to feed, but your food production, for example, is going to be going at the same rate. So even if you expedited the deliverance and the doing of these tasks, you're still not performing them in the sufficient amount to feed all the population that you have. You need a population that actually does those activities, help produces those things. And your refugees are costing you too much resources compared to what they give you, especially on the long run. So you get this thing from the game that shows you that having a bigger crew is helpful, but you're going to have to crew up. So how do you crew up? How do you get on about that? Well, there's two ways of doing that. One is by finding crew on derelict ships, and on some of these ships, sometimes you will find hypersleep chambers, and in some of these hypersleep chambers, sometimes there's a dude, you click on it and he becomes part of your crew. Very nice. So this, however, happens too far and in between, and it's not a reliable way of crewing up, not to the degree that you need to. So you want to find another solution, and the other solution about that is attacking somebody else, getting their prisoners, and then converting them. You're eventually going to have to go into the ship, and the reason I say this is that even if you defeat the ship via range methods, if you don't go on board soon enough, the crew will die. You do have the option of going in as soon as they faint, for example, lack of oxygen or stuff like that, but your chances of getting them surviving that are slim, and getting and I mean, yeah, you can get them, but you're not going to get all the crew available, so you're going to have to go and kill more people, get more prisoners, blah blah blah. You might as well just go in with as many crew members as possible, so more than 8 or 8, and that will allow you to win the battle and without killing all the crew members and take them prisoners. So you're going to have to go around and kill some ships, get their prisoners, and after that, bring them on board. Go back to your Edit tab, Tooltips, Prisoner Area. You can choose the same area you set up for your refugees, or you can sort of find other areas and kind of share spaces with your crew. Um, you might want to do this because basically the way conversion works is the prisoners have a chance of being recruited once per turn at the beginning of each turn. And so basically every time a new turn starts, each prisoner is going to roll a number, a dice, etc. And if the number is whatever you want, etc., the roll passes, then they're just going to become part of your crew. Now there is also a chance of them rebelling, but it's never happened to any of the prisoners I've had. And once you have prisoners, it's just a question of time, um, as into when they will eventually become part of your crew. So you don't really care. While you might be tempted to wait to click the recruit button on each individual prisoner when they have a high enough percentage of success, AI above 5%, um, it's rather irrelevant. You just want to do it as soon as possible without, I mean, not at 1% maybe chance, but because there's going to be a higher percentage of rebelling. And as far as I've noticed, it goes up to 10%. So 1% chance of success means you're going to have a 9% chance of rebelling. The remaining 90% chance is nothing. They just stay a prisoner. So as you see, you just basically want to, this transition to last as less as possible. Mostly because they're free weight. In contrast to your refugees, they don't perform any task. They just eat, consume stuff, blah blah blah. And so in the long run, you can't sustain a large prisoner population um, without it affecting your ship efficiency and consuming way too much than you need than you have. So yeah, you want them to become crew as soon as possible. So you might want to give them a few more comforts, etc. But the best way of achieving that is just basically as once you have them and in a safe and good area, start recruiting them as soon as possible. Basically, once you've settled and you've crewed up, what is the next step? You're going to notice quite quickly that you need to feed all these people. So how do you go on about making enough food?